So let's talk about optimizing your mod a bit. There's many ways to optimize a mod, which have different results. Something improved the frames per second, something improved the loading time and the download time. So it's different things that optimize different areas or different kind of things, you could say. In this case, we want to do something that minimize the size of the mod, and we're gonna look at these two of these sample mods I've done here. This small little starter map and the starter characters, which is actually only one character right now, but it's a pretty big one, right? For one character, 14 megabytes, that's a lot. So so we want to do something that reduces the size of these, meaning it will be quicker for players to download the mod and also quicker for the game to load the mod into the game. So when you're loading up a map and it's reading in all the mods, it will be faster when this is a bit lower. Okay, so how to do that? What we will look at now, and let's first take a look at the starter map. That's what we're on, and we can see now that it's around 1 megabyte. It's a very small mod anyway, so it's limited to what we can do, but I think we can do something anyway. So we find the mod here, it's the starter map, and we have this scene open here, which is the one I have open here. So this is kind of the map. Okay, so well, right now you can see in the mod folder there is not a lot. There is the scene, there's the definitions, and then a readme file that doesn't have any effect at all. But when the mod tools are building the mod, it's including all the stuff that it can see is referenced from in here. So all the things in here, as you can see, this one and this one and everything in the scene will be included in the mod automatically because the scene references these things. So that's good. Right now it's pretty easy because this is a very small project, so I know everything in this map is from this Polygon starter pack. So it's pretty easy here, but we could, let's say we want to figure out the car here, for instance. So we click the car and we click the mesh render and then the material and mesh render, which is kind of the model, have a material, and a material, if you click that, have a texture, which is here. So you can see, for instance, I would assume this Cincy you see over here, that is the Cincy you see here on the license plate. But as you can see now, it's pretty crisp and sharp. It's okay, pretty okay. But also you can see that, first of all, there's different versions of this for some reason with different colors. But you can see they are all 1024 times 1024, and it takes up around 0.7 megabytes, so that's 700 kilobytes. And this is the size here, and you can see here that it's set to the max size here. What you're setting here is what you want Unity to build this texture, what size this texture should be built at, included in the mod. So the smaller that is, the smaller the texture, the size is. So let's say if we go from this 1024 to 512, you can see now it's down to 170 kilobytes. It was 700 before, now it's 170. So it's a pretty big difference. And also we can see that if you look at this Cincy here, the quality did get a hit. You see, now it's better. Take it to this one. Okay, it is not that big, so that doesn't gonna do anything. But this is where it was. It looks okay. Let's take it all the way down so we can see a big difference. You can see this is too much because now the texture is so small that it's just like bleh, you can't even read it. Let's go up a bit. I still can't read it. So you want to find some sweet spot where you can live with the quality, and you want to have it as low as possible. In this case, I think 512 is actually good enough because it, from a distance, it's actually looking pretty okay. Of course, when you're sitting here and comparing it like this is much sharper. But remember, players are running around doing all sorts of things, so they don't see that kind of detail typically. So you want to find something that is good enough and not oversized, because it will take up a lot of resources. So let's take all of these now. I'm marking all of them and then changing them to 512. And all of these are 2048. So let's take all of them and half them too. Like this, for instance. So now all of them is kind of halved in size. You don't see much different in this map, because this is UV mapped and like a low poly thing, so it doesn't have a big impact. The reason I'm picking the plate here is because that is text and you can actually see it. You can see the difference here. But anyway, let's try and build the mod and let's see if we can see a difference in the size. Again, it's a very small mod, so the stuff we can do is limited. But you can see we actually got it down to 824. So that's pretty nice. Let's see, can we take this one to maybe 512 too, without losing too much? Let's try again. And remember, this is a small map because there's only very small amount of textures. Normally, if you have a more detailed map, it will be a lot more. And you have to figure out individually what can go down in size and what have to be relatively large to be crisp to look at. And now I'm doing it in the editor, looking at it, but you really have to, once you are satisfied here, you have to go into the game and take a look in there. And be aware that the setting, we go into the game here, if you go to settings, this one have an impact also on how good it looks. So you use Ultra to see how it looks with the best graphics and very low for the worst graphics, because that have an impact on the textures too. It's just so if you are playing on medium and you think, oh, it's blurry, why is it not getting any sharper? Well, it might be because you have to go to Ultra to get the biggest resolution of the texture. Because even though we are selecting like this needs to be 512, I'm pretty sure it uses this MIP map thing to actually do a lower resolution if the quality is worse. So like if you're on very low, maybe the texture looks like this, because then it takes up a lot less memory and is faster to render because you are on a lower end system typically. I'm not super into if all of what I'm saying now is right, but I just know there is a difference. And I know that you want to have this as small as you can to make it optimal. So now we got the map from, oops, not this one. We got the map from, we just saved like 30% of the size, right? From 1 megabyte to 700, basically. Let's take a look at the other one here, because what I'm showing here is works for everything. It's for fireworks, it's for characters. And in your case, if you are doing fireworks that have real textures, like, or the real labels, like pictures of labels, you typically want to take them down, but only to a size where you can actually also read it. But remember, people are not looking like very, very close to it most of the time. So pick one that makes sense. So let's take a look here at the character, because that's 14 megabytes almost, and that is a lot. So let's first of all switch to our character mod here, and let's find our character mod here, and let's find our model in here, our mail worker. We can maybe also, before we do that, let's open up our mail worker so we have him here so we can take a look at him. So we can also we can find the materials here, we can find here, and then we can see the two materials we're using, and next to them we can see all the different textures, and some of them are normal maps and diffuse maps and whatever, but it's some graphical stuff, and you can see all of them being used here. You can see this one is used there, and you can see this one is used here, and this one, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so let's just try something, because we can see that these are actually 2000 times 2000, so they take up a lot of space. What if we let's try and go nuts and go all the way to 64. So now you can clearly see a difference, right? It's too blurry, it's too weird. Let's try 1024. See, that looks pretty okay. So So this is the full size, like 2000 and now 1024, half size. You see, the difference is not that big, right? It's very, very small. What is with his eye? What's with this? That's weird. Is that a difference? Just want to see something. No, that's nothing to do with that. That's some shader stuff. Anyway, so you can see we can easily take it down to 1024. And actually, we could actually maybe live with 512. Again, it's not too sharp, but maybe it's good enough. Let's try and build it and just see how much we saved by doing this. So now it takes up 2.5 megabytes. It was 14 before. So let's try and see it in game and see how it looks. Let's try the map also. So let's try and find our avatar. This one. So you see when he's running around here. Do we notice a difference? Well, maybe now because you saw the other one, but oh, there's something with his hair. Looks weird. But anyway, so we went from 14 to 2 megabytes. And remember, oh, I have so many gigabytes of RAM, it's no problem, doesn't matter. Remember, people have tons of mods installed. And if everybody do stuff like this and optimize it, you can have even more mods installed, typically. So you can see here we changed, we cut off 10 megabytes of the file. It's like 80% or something like that of the file size. And the quality is not really that changed. We could go to, let's try and go to 1024 just to try it out. And maybe these diffuse and stuff, maybe they can go down actually. I don't know. Maybe we could take these to 512. Let's just try that. I don't know what impact that have, but let's see. Now we build it again. So now it's 400 kilobytes more. So it's actually not that different. Let's try and see. Oh, wrong map. Anyway, doesn't matter. The character is the same. Let's switch to some daylight. That's why it was easier in the other one. So something like this. It's a not fair comparison because now we're in a different map, but something wrong with his hair there, but that has nothing to do with the textures. So you can see actually now it looks even better now, I think, but it's still 3 megabytes versus 14 megabytes. So yeah, this is one way to optimize your mod, and it works for fireworks, it works for characters, it works for scenes, for maps. So pay attention to your texture size. It's really important. And also another very important, as I mentioned in one of the build mod last thing here, one of the build your first mod videos, optimize for file size. Always. Because if you're not doing that, your mod will be huge. So file size and then lower all your textures as much as you can. See you and happy modding. Bye.